Are you trying to sew some narrow straps either with fabric or bias tape and your ends are looking a bit like this? Whether that's you're getting wobbly stitches, you're getting nesting on the back, or perhaps your raw edges are just peeking out like this, I've got a handy little tip for you. So I've got a piece of fabric here that we're going to use for our narrow strap. So this is just cut on the grain line. So I've made a couple of creases in here. So first of all, I've creased in half and given that a good press, and then I've pressed both sides in towards the middle with a slight gap. Now, what I'm going to do is, even though I've creased those ways, I'm actually going to fold it back on itself. So against that crease line, and fold it in half, just like so. And then I'm going to fold in half again. So taking my raw edges down to that fold and just folding them so they're slightly short of the fold there. And then we're just going to do a quick stitch line here. As you can see, our raw edge is slightly short of our folded line. And we're just going to do a couple of stitches across here, just with a regular stitch. And I'm back stitching, but you actually don't need to. It's just to make sure nothing comes undone. And we're just going to trim that seam allowance there. Once you've sewn this little bundle together, you want to take this one side and sort of pull it over the top. So you've got a nice corner there. And then you want to push this all the way around. And then you can use something. You can use maybe like the head of a pin. You can even use the tip of the pin, just be careful, it might go through. You just want to push out that corner so that you have a nice, neat top of your strap, and then you can fold that back round so that you have a clean strap here, which just needs a line of stitching along this side. You could just go straight into the machine and sew down this side of the fabric, but I would actually recommend, if you've got a longer strap, to start towards the other end and come down and finish at this section, just because it will allow your presser foot to go over the bulk of that fabric a little bit easier. So you just want to line up your needle into the edge of your strap, but you want to get kind of as close as you can really to the crease line. So this is only a couple of millimeters in. I'm just going to do a couple of stitches, and you might find on your machine that you need to pull on your threads ever so slightly just as you start, and that will just prevent any nesting. And once you've done a couple of stitches, you can let go and do your back stitch. And then you can run this stitch all the way down. And then as you get to the end, you'll see there's a bit more bulk to go through. You might need to use your hand around the back just to keep guiding the fabric. And you should just be able to do a couple of back stitches and stitch off the end. So once you've trimmed your threads, you'll have a lovely, neat finish to the end of your strap. And your seam, your raw edges are all trapped inside that seam at the top there. So you just have one line of stitching. And this works on really narrow straps. It's perfect with bias binding for making spaghetti straps or something similar.